Good afternoon, everyone. Today I will be discussing globalization through the lens of major social theories. I will be exploring theories from Wallerstein, Mills, Harvey, Bordeaux, and Merton. What is globalization? Globalization is described as the process of increasing interconnection between countries, cultures, and economies. It's also said to impact multiple aspects of life, which includes politics, economics, culture, as well as technology. The first theory I'll be covering is world systems theory, which is Wallerstein. When it comes to world systems theory, he divides the region. He describes three cultural regions, which are core nations, semi-periphery nations, and periphery nations. Core nations are described as nations that are industrialized countries that are known to dominate the global economy. Semi-periphery nations are those that are described as being developing countries that are serving as intermediaries, and periphery nations are described as being poorer countries that are exploited for their labor as well as their resources. This theory explains how globalization perpetuates economic inequalities as well as wealthier nations that are benefiting from the labor and resources of countries that are poorer than them. The next theory we'll discuss is C. Wright Mills and conflict theory. When it comes to conflict theory, it focuses on the issue of power within society. Mills argued that power is concentrated among elites, and within these elites, it includes the government, larger corporations, as well as the military. When it comes to globalization through the lens of conflict theory, it explains or we'll discuss is C. Wright Mills and conflict theory. When it comes to conflict theory, it focuses on the issue of power within society. Mills argued that power is concentrated among elites, and within these elites, it includes the government, larger corporations, as well as the military. When it comes to globalization through the lens of conflict theory, it explains or it helps us understand how larger corporations are exploiting cheap labor in developing countries, which is known to widen the gap between nations. Harvey and neoliberalism. When it comes to neoliberalism, it promotes free market capitalism as well as deregulation and privatization. When it comes to free market capitalism, it is described as being reduced government intervention in the economy, and deregulation as well as privatization means fewer trade barriers and more private sector control. When it comes to globalization through the lens of neoliberalism, it has increased economic instability as well as it's increased economic inequality. An example would be the World Bank and IMF. They push these policies of deregulation and privatization, which is known to encourage global trade. The next concept we'll be discussing is Pierre Bourdieu's social theory. When it comes to social theory, he focuses on the concept of habitus, which means shared behaviors and norms within a social group. When it comes to discussing social theory in the lens of globalization or the concept of globalization, it is known to disrupt traditional cultural norms which benefits those with cultural capital. It also affects people who struggle to adapt. They'll end up facing social exclusion in an increasingly globalized world. Is Robert Merton's theory of social enemy. Um, the concept of enemy is described as a breakdown of societal norms. It's also a process that occurs without intent or action by individuals. When it comes to globalization and enemy, is known to globalization is known to spread new values and expectations, and this therefore traditional social structures are weakened. This can also lead to a feeling of disconnection as well as alienation, especially in societies that are struggling to adapt to rapid change. Of all the theories of all the theories that were discussed within this PowerPoint, Wallerstein's world systems theory was the most effective in explaining globalization. This concept or theory helps us understand the dynamics of critically analyzing or critically analyze globalization. It also highlights how global capitalism reinforces economic inequality, as well as it explains how modern globalization has been shaped today. Thank you.